Hi, Armand here with your forecast for the week of April 8th, 2019. So this is the week when things are really getting moving. We have the solar and the lunar cycles both growing. It's a time of going forward. It's a time of action. And it's really, let's just call it go time. With a couple of little caveats. First of all, the moon is void, of course, virtually all day Monday. And that means that it's a time to take care of routine tasks and projects that are already underway. So don't push too much on Monday. After the moon goes into Gemini later on Monday, you should pick up the weekly forecast, then you'd know the times for this, but it's about 5:15 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. After the moon goes into Gemini, you might want to get some emails out there and make some phone calls because it's kind of a good time to get started with things. Monday night also might be fun for getting out and having a little bit of fun. Here's a helpful hint for you. If you have some bad news to deliver, if you are not going to go on that date after all, if you need to quit your job, if, let's say, for example, the report isn't going to be in on time, the project is going to be delayed, something like that, you're going to miss deadline, then the moon void is a pretty good time to deliver that information. You know, you might get a little pushback and some stuff might happen, but it's not quite the full-fledged reaction you would get at other times. So you might do that on Monday. But Monday evening would be a good time to get through with communication that you really do want to get through and you do want people to pay attention to. Now, Tuesday is also a good day for that. We have the moon in Gemini, it's waxing, very good. However, we have a couple of things that are going to slow things down a little bit, and one thing is the Sun square to Saturn. Sun square to Saturn, in this particular case, is not as challenging as it might otherwise be. The Sun is in Aries, where it's very strong. Saturn is in Capricorn, where it is very strong. And so there's a sort of give and take type of thing. The solar energy is strong, and Saturn is maybe helping to put a little bit of a break on things. Make sure that we are looking at stuff seriously, not moving too fast, not being too impulsive. And that's important because Jupiter stations to retrograde on Wednesday. Actually, Ceres stations to retrograde on Tuesday. Now, let's talk a little bit about retrogrades. I know some folks, not you, but some folks like to think that astrology is great for convincing you that you should never do anything. And retrogrades seem to be a great opportunity for that. Well, you know, Mercury, Venus, and Mars, when they're retrograde, do tend to suggest caution and hesitation around the particular areas that those planets signify. Jupiter is retrograde for about 4 months of the year, and when we get out there to Saturn, Pluto, who are both retrograding later this month, and Neptune, and we can include Ceres in that as well, they're retrograde a good deal of the time, and we can't really look at it as being the same type of thing. What we do get is a little bit of an effect on the collective level, but mostly we feel the energy of that planet very, very strongly right around the station. So with Jupiter stationing to retrograde on Wednesday, there's a bit of optimism, perhaps a little bit of, oh, I don't want to say haughtiness, but there's a little bit of maybe, not arrogance, but there's a little bit of that kind of like readiness to take a leap of faith. Whether or not that's ill-advised, or whether it's a great idea, that depends on the circumstances. Again, Saturn is throwing a little bit of caution into the equation, and that's probably a very good thing. But generally speaking, we're feeling upbeat. It should be a very active time. Tuesday and Wednesday, we have, you know, Jupiter stationing, we have the moon in Gemini. Multitasking might be required, and we'll probably be up to it, as a matter of fact. Venus, right around the same time, early to midweek, Venus comes into a meeting with Neptune. Very good for romance and things like that. It sort of puts relationship into a soft focus. Saturn and the Sun might be giving you a little bit more to think about in terms of things, but basically speaking, it's kind of a good time for going out and having some fun and things like that. It could feel like decision time for some relationships, but it, you know, in a very positive, upbeat kind of way. In general, Jupiter will give you faith to do what you want to do, and that's about what you need faith to do. Now, on Thursday and Friday, the moon goes into Cancer, and we have a much more conservative vibe, usually. But now, Now the Cancer moon is going to meet with Uranus. First thing that it does is going to make a sextile to Uranus, which sort of opens up the possibilities in terms of flexibility. And the Cancer moon over the next 7 years, but especially the next couple of years while Uranus is at the early degrees of Taurus, the Cancer moon will not be quite so protective and enclosed as it can sometimes be. Still goes on to oppose Saturn and Pluto and all of that, but it gets a start off saying, hey, we can do things a little bit differently. So it's not quite the conservative vibe that we might otherwise expect. That having been said, there are some pretty serious things on tap for the end of the week. It is the first quarter moon. If we looked at all the aspects that are taking place on Thursday and particularly on Friday, as the sun goes on to square Pluto, we get ourselves into a spot where it really is decision time. It is time for decisive action. This is not a time to avoid action. This is a time to say, I know what I got to do. You already got that message. You got that message a while ago. You've already got, and it's been clear since midweek at least. We get to Thursday, particularly Friday, it's action time. You act upon what needs to be done. You go forward with what you think is the best thing to do. It's not a calm end to the week by any stretch of the imagination. We're pushing forward at this time. It is, I would say, Thursday and Friday represent the most active period of time we've had in months. Actually, this entire week is about the most active period of time we've had in months. It certainly, there was no time in February and March that had quite this bubbly kind of pushing forward. So this is a time to act. Again, this is no caution to go hide under the bed. I know some people, not you, some people like to use these forecasts to think, well, I'm not going to do anything. No, do something. Do something. This is the week to do something. If you don't do it on Tuesday and Wednesday, Thursday or Friday, you're still there. Now, we get to the weekend and the moon goes into Leo, and I think Saturday and Sunday with moon in Leo and easy aspects should be pretty good. I'm thinking that this is a time that might be a lot of fun, great for creativity, should be good for, again, there's a sort of romantic thing. Venus is very active over the course of this week and into next week. Venus is going to aspect Saturn at midweek this week, and then she goes on to make a sextile to Pluto around Friday, Saturday, and then next week she's going to aspect Jupiter. There's a lot of stuff going on in terms of relationship. We may have to wait until the full moon on the 19th to really see what the result of all of this is. But there should be a lot of stuff happening in that area of life as well. So it's not just all about work. It should be fun. The weekend is really a good opportunity to unwind, creativity, fun, play, get out, go to see some music, go make some music. It's that kind of energy. Do you know what you do? Do what you want to do. The moon is in Leo. Do what you want to do. It's waxing. It should be a fun time. For those of us in the Northern Hemisphere that have springtime, it should feel like, wow, I haven't been, out and, at a rooftop bar or a garden party or whatever it is for a while. Maybe you have a barbecue or something like that. I might be pushing it, I guess. Depends where you are. But that kind of feeling of like, yeah, we're back out there. The light is there. It stays light, nice and laid out. Except in, well, not except in, but they're getting rid of daylight savings time in Europe. Oh, I love daylight savings time. I love for it to be light out later at night. I understand it makes some sort of difference earlier in the day, but I wouldn't know. Anyways, I digress. This is a week for action. Monday might go a little bit slow, but after that, different flavors. Tuesday and Wednesday, cautious, but connecting and following through. And then Thursday and Friday, definitely decisive action. If you're busy with work and things like that on Saturday and Sunday, it's really no problem. It should be good stuff also. But, if you can get some fun and get a little bit of playtime, that would probably be, I think that's better. All right, that's your forecast for this week. You should be busy. You spent 10 minutes watching this. So go ahead. Bye.